Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at what I consider to be the worst Transformer figures that I own. Funny enough, they're also the only Age of Extinction figures that I own, as well as the only figures that I own that have like these kind of action features, which we'll take a look at in a second. But I was not a fan of the movie. They lost me around the defense of what was it? Age of Consent laws, yeah, I think that's where they lost me. But somewhere between that and just the absolute disrespect to Ratchet. If you've seen the movie, you know. So we're going to take a look at Hound first, then we're going to move to Drift here, and then Crosshairs. I think we'll go over which one's the worst and what makes them the worst, but let's take a look at Hound here. So my Hound isn't complete. One of the problems I have with him are these wheels come off really easy, and so he's missing that one. I think he might also be missing something on the back side of the figure. Other than that, he should be complete. He's got a nice rifle, but unfortunately that's part of his action feature, which we'll take a look at in a second. Let's take a look at the sculpt. He's got a nice beard to him. This is the John Goodman likeness. I think these were supposed to be like shell casings or something, like all strapped to his chin. It's weird. I don't know how you go through the logistics of facial hair on robots, but I don't know. I've always liked this character, and this character design is actually really cool. I've heard that he was supposed to be a different character, and then they changed him to Hound. I think he was supposed to be that guy from Prime. Can't remember his name now. But that one would make a lot of sense. So for his action feature, you pop off this thing on the shoulder here, and then he's supposed to have like this quick draw attack, which doesn't work too well. I don't know if that's just mine or if that's a common issue, but you kind of have to give him an assist at the end there. And he's holding it kind of execution style, a little slanted downward. It's kind of cool. I really dig the gun, and I always loved the weapons that he had in the movie. Even though I didn't care for the movie, I would say Hound is the best part of it. Especially, come on, it's John Goodman. That's pretty much the only reason to like Hound. Let's see. He's got his nice tire feet there. These are obviously fake tires that don't work for the transformation. A lot of detail going on the sides here. I think that's supposed to be like an extra blaster, which doesn't come off, of course. Or maybe that's part of his robot mode. Who knows? Back end, obviously, there's nothing going on there. And then when it comes to articulation, it's really rough, where it's just this arm is all compromised because of the action feature, so yes, it does articulate, but it doesn't stay anywhere. It's always going to be like kind of down or slightly at like a hip shot look, which isn't terrible. It's not great though. Other arm does have articulation. It can move out at the shoulder, and it can spin full 360, and that does have an elbow bend, which we can get reverse bend, and then a nice 90-degree angle on that. It doesn't matter so much because even though he does have an open hand, it's not like he comes with any extra accessories to toss in there. It would be kind of cool if we had a big old cigar or something, since his character did have a lot of those in the movie. And then the leg articulation, let's go over that. It can do this. Yeah, so articulation is hindered. The robot form is not great, and the paint detailing is rough, so I would not consider this a very good figure. If you like Hound, you probably won't mind it, but nah, as far as Transformers go, that's pretty low tier. Of course, these are, I believe, for the kids. It's intended for kiddos, but I've still seen a lot of really good Transformers toys that were intended for kids. I would not consider these guys those. So for Drift here, he's actually got a really nice sculpt. And so sculpt isn't where he's failed so much in my opinion. The paint even isn't so bad as it is. You can see his blue eyes shining through there. A lot of face detail. This backpack here, which just kind of throws it off. But he's really hindered in the articulation department. You'll notice that he's not painted anywhere down here. This is just plastic. This isn't all painted. That's not painted. But now let's get into the articulation on this guy, because this is where I don't know what to do. The legs are actually really well articulated, where it goes up, out, knee bend, in this kind of foot flippy thing. There's a little fin that moves. So legs articulate, and then upper half is completely compromised by the action feature. He's supposed to have these swords that kind of shoot out, and they're supposed to kind of line up with this. Mine, they don't. You drop these elbow pads. There you go. And, yeah, that's just really weird. And he's got this super thin frame from the side there, and that shoot just juts out of his arms. I can't really imagine a lot of play going on with this, too, because if you want to actually have him using his weapons, you gotta turn him, and then, like, how do you play that? Swing him around, smash him into stuff. I just don't get why they couldn't have taken these swords off, have them separate, and you just plug them in down here. Heck, if they did that and they just had regular articulation, this figure would actually be pretty good. Because like I said, paint and sculpt is there. Obviously there's some places they're lacking, but this thing is weird. And then it has these bars in the middle there, and that's what causes that feature to work. So it's just additional kibble. His head turns off to the side there with it. And then this huge backpack. I don't know, very disappointing in my opinion. So let's set Drift back there, and we're going to go to the main event here. We got Crosshairs, which I don't think Crosshairs has ever had a really good toy, if I'm being honest. It's kind of a weird character to translate, I think, because the transformation, this all is supposed to become like a trench coat for him, and no toy can really kind of get that without having 1,000 articulation points. I think these guys were designed without the actual idea of how they're going to transform set up. At least that's what I believe. So this guy's sculpt, it's, I don't like that face sculpt. He's supposed to have kind of a mustache there, which I'm not seeing. There's like way too much detail, which, you know, does kind of work for the Michael Bay, but yeah, it just didn't come across as Crosshairs here, in my opinion, with the goggles there. You get the general idea of who it is, but it doesn't look like him. For the arm here, this sculpt is terrible. He's just, I have little tiny figures that they do this with, where they do the arm on the interior of the panel. So the fact that this is like a deluxe size figure and they're doing this, it's really rough. That's a whole side of the car just for his one arm. That's not even bad as the other arm here, which is a whole back half of a car, which is part of the action feature, but we'll go over that. So all of this stuff is stuff that's going to be like tucked inside of the car, so this is a shell former, I think, as they refer to it. Obviously, look at that, that's a whole car back here, and then he has the other half over here. So the transformation just, it's really rough, especially, I think for all three of these, it's a little weird, the transformation, which also makes them not as fun Transformers for me. Because usually there's like some neat stuff when it comes to them. I think these guys just don't really have that. This guy's got some interesting stuff where he like shifts over, which we'll try to take a look at in a minute. But, so here's his action feature. You hold his arm here and turn, and he throws out this big giant fist, which is a whole back end of a car. Insane. I mean, it's kind of cool. But it's also, I mean, this one's probably more usable as a toy than this guy because of that, but it's ridiculous, and it doesn't display well. He always looks like he has, like, he's holding a giant car in one side of his hand or something. Like, you can't display him as well as these guys, in my opinion. And then the legs, they're okay. You know, he has the little flippy feet there. They look weirdly concave at the knee. And they lock in right here, so that articulation for this whole thing, that's where we're going to find a lot more problems. So for this arm, literally just at the shoulder, it's in, out, and then spin. And that's it. I don't think, is that a ball joint? No, it's like a hinge and another hinge inside here. Not very good. No hand articulation, nothing to hold. Then the head, it only goes down like that and then back up to a straight position, which is super hindering. No ball joint or anything. He can't turn his head. He can't look off to the side or anything. It's just straight on, which means whatever he's punching, he's looking away from as he punches. Like, Not so cool. And then for the other arm, you can't really count this as articulation. I don't know if you want to, but let me plug. His hand actually is a little tucked in there. Look at that. I was doing him dirty. Yeah. But if you consider this, there's an articulation point there, there, and there, but it only goes this one route. You can't turn the arm down, do anything with it. It's only that. And of course, he doesn't hold any pose with it. Then the bottom half of him, waist, technically doesn't articulate. It would only do it for the action feature. And then the legs don't really do anything. Not even this flippy part here does anything. You can pull that out, but that's not really an articulation point. Yeah, so articulation on all three of these guys are really rough. I would say design-wise, I dig him most. He could kind of pass the best as, oh, this is a transformer that's normal and not crazy with all these stupid action features. This one's kind of the one that I prefer out of them all, though, as just like for my own collection, because I like Hound, and he kind of fits in with the smaller scale, I guess you would consider deluxe class. And then this guy's going to be the least favorite so far, so he's going to be the worst. Let's take a look at their Carmos real quick. I'm going to cut away and see if I can do a quick transformation of him. Alright, so transforming this guy, I will point out, one of the worst parts here is this gun where you have to spin it around and try and lock it into his leg. You'll see these parts here, the gun has to lock into. And it's so hard to remember how to do it, and it's so flippy. Ugh, not a fan. And then for this guy, I think the only part that I like about his transformation is how you pull this part out, and then it becomes the whole side of the car, and that just envelops over him. That's actually kind of neat, you know, kind of comfortable to do. Of course, it doesn't lock in all that great, so that is a problem. And then for this fella, the part that I like about his transformation is this side bend, where he turns there, flip that down, and then you just have to form the whole car from that. That's kind of cool. It's not a great transformation, but it is kind of a cool technique. Alright, and then here are all three of them transformed. We got Hound, Drift, and Crosshairs. So first let's take a look at Hound here, obviously missing the wheel still. It's not a terrible little truck, not a whole lot of paint details. I would have liked if the silver paint from the front still kind of kept on the windows there. A nice dirt wash could help. I think I am missing some top piece here. It's not terrible though. I don't like the way the wheels are really. Like these are okay, the metal stud securing that perfectly. Something about those wheels though, really cheap, really wiggly. Makes them a weird drive, but a cool military like cargo vehicle. Then we got Drift here, a really kind of cool sports car. He's got the tail fin here, the spoiler. Not bad details overall. You know, the paint's a little lacking, but honestly, I think of all of them, he's got the better vehicle mode. So I won't complain too much. Autobot symbol up there. This long line that's so... it's just like super raised, and I don't think it's supposed to be. But that's kind of cool, this little engine. I'm not sure what that would be. Is that like speakers back there? Am I missing a panel? Heck if I know. But nice vehicle, really. Even the wheels aren't that bad. Like, I kind of like the way this one was. I kind of wish this one was a little more hidden with that metal stud. So there was some symmetry here. I don't get, like, all of these guys do their front wheels differently than their back wheels. And then none are worse than this guy here, where he has the stupid green sticking out of the wheel. And then this one did it right, where this side it's black. That's a black plastic. Why couldn't that be a black plastic too? So weird. And then obviously, look at that giant window gaping into the little robot inside. Not such a robot in disguise if you can literally see him through the window. It's got kind of cool paint details on the sides, so it's not a bad, not like a terrible car mode. Honestly, the car mode on this guy is way better than the bot mode. He's even got the spoiler back here, that's kind of cool. But overall, I couldn't recommend any three of these, any one of these three. In my opinion, which one's the least bad? Maybe Drift. Obviously, don't buy these guys. Don't be like me. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.